Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Maggie, did you get in or what?
I'm here and I can hear you.
Okay, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Did you get in at all or were you kind of lost?
I was in for like the last half of the class.
I apologize, Maggie, but I'm not in tune with Zoom. And it may have flashed up that I had people waiting and I didn't see it. That's my
yeah.
fault. It is
I'm
recorded.
sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'll go back and watch it. I showed up to class thinking it was in person, hadn't read my emails, so that's my fault.
No, it's no, it's absolutely not your fault because I was told at 12:15, right as I was entering in my HCC lecture, that the class was not being held in face-to-face. I was told that I had to hold the lecture in a Zoom meeting fashion, which begged the question, if you guys were in a Zoom meeting somewhere, how in the world could you get to the lab in time?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. I was like, well, that means I'm going to be 20 minutes late to lab basically because I had to come home for the computer anyway. Bottom
line was, yeah, and then the administrator tells me, well, they could just go to the SU building and use the computers there. And as I pointed out to him, the SU building closes at 5:30 and the lecture began at 5:30. It was a cluster. I don't understand why we had to do it anyway, but that's basically what I was told to do. So I had to end up doing it.
Yeah, it sounds like they are just continuing to change the policy a little bit as time goes on.
What I was told was at the very beginning of the semester that they would take a person that had COVID and they would possibly take, if you had a seating chart, which I do, if you had a seating chart, they would take the 3 nearest people or the 4 nearest people to that person, and they would then quarantine them for a time, but I could still go on teaching the class.
Yeah.
Apparently that's been changed.
I was hoping it was going to be like, if you're vaccinated, then you can still show up to class. If you're unvaccinated, then maybe there is a threat there. I don't know.
To be honest with you, I have no idea how long this is going on. Something of good hope. I was told by somebody in my last lecture, that this was only going to last until Monday.
Okay.
God help us. I'm hoping that it's going to last till Monday and it'll be over with. But I can't say anything for certain until I read the emails. So please, people, keep apprised of the emails. I will try and do an announcement with an email, but as of right now, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Now, I made a decision at the last second, which is always adventuresome, shall we say. And that was, I know that we are doing a graphing lab. We were doing a graphing lab at the end of the semester. I decided that I would move that up to tonight's lab for you guys, so that in effect, we're going to be back on the schedule with Monday's lab. Monday's lab will just do their graphing lab later on in the semester. So are we familiar? Are we okay with that? This means we are not doing Le Chatelier tonight. This means that you can still turn in your pre-lab for Le Chatelier. I've opened it up until next Tuesday. We are going to hopefully do Le Chatelier next week. And if we don't do it next week, I will have dry lab material for you. So are we okay with that, ladies and gentlemen? Any major objections? There is no lab notebook for the graphing lab. So you have no notebook. You have no notebook that you have to turn in next week. I would, however, take notes on this and be aware that graphing questions could be asked on the final. So if you take notes and put them in your lab notebook, I will accept them. Okay. Are we up for this, ladies and gentlemen? We are not hand graphing. You do not have to hand graph. As a matter of fact, the answer for question number 3 in the graphing results, the answer for question number 3 is 10. The answer for question number 4 is 5. Those 2 questions involve hand graphing. You are not doing hand graphing. Are we okay with that? Now,
Will you repeat that?
question 3, the answer is 10. Question 4, the answer is 5.
Thank you.
No problems. So you have those, I just gave you 20 points of the graphing lab. You are to do the graphing lab on Excel if you so choose. If you do not choose to do it in Excel, then you're going to have to do the calculations on your own. Fair enough, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I need everybody to video up. I don't care what you look like. I need you to video up. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Ha. Percy, they're good. Thank you, Dorian. You good? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now. Are you seeing my Excel graph? I do have a video which tells you how to do an Excel graph. I'm going to attempt to try and do this myself, so hopefully I won't confuse you too much. But this is important. First thing is very important. The first column is going to be your X graph or your X axis. First column is your X axis or your independent variable. Remember, the independent variable is the one that you can control. What you want to do when you're doing a graph is you want to do 1/2 of it so that you have nice, easy increments. The other axis is your dependent variable because it's dependent on what the X value is. So in the first column, you put all your X values. Some of you reversed this in the graph you just submitted for kinetics. X is in the first column, Y is in the second column. Then what you do is you kind of highlight the first box and you click and drag so that, you click and drag so that you include all the boxes with numbers. First thing, put the numbers in, X-axis in first column, B-axis in the second column. Then you highlight all the numbers. Come up to Insert. Click on Insert. And what you're going to see over in the middle section is something that says Charts. Cute dog, Jennifer. So you're going to click on Charts. What you want to do is you want to pick the chart that is scatter, which is in the upper left-hand corner. And that will make that'll put your dots, your points on your graph. There are some things you can do. Now, if you click on, where is that at? Axes. Ah, crap. You click on axes and the arrow. What it will do, I'm sorry, I'm kind of hidden here, guys. What it will do is it will click on primary and horizontal axes. Sorry, I need to kind of see this. I'm kind of hidden here. Okay, you want the primaries at least in there. You need to click on the axis table titles. Now, if you click on the axis title, you can literally type in here up atop what it is. You need to put a title for your axes and you need to put a unit. You need to put a title. Title is something as simple as x-axis or y-axis versus x-axis. Could be something as simple in this case as density, but all those things need to be labeled. Click on the right, chart elements. Go down to trend line. Trend line gives you the line of best fit. Then you are going to go over to the arrow. You're going to click more options. Wait, why is this not doing this? Thank you. Then if you go down to the bottom, display equation on chart, display R squared value. Another nice thing, if you go grid lines, primary minor, primary major. So I've taken it, if you noticed, I have taken it from big squares down to little squares. And ladies and gentlemen, you are done as far as I'm concerned. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Now, how do we use the graph? Okay. Say we have a mass of 25 grams. And we want to know how much volume that is. All we got to do is go up to where 25 is in the mass, take it over to where it meets the line, and then go down. That's going to be 30 milliliters. Say I have 22 milliliters. I want to know how much that weighs. I'm going to find the 22 on the y-axis, take it up to where it meets the line, and I'm going to take it over, and that is literally going to be 19 grams. All right. What do I do what do I do if my question is off my graph? Right now, I go as high as I should go as high as 50.
You can plug in the whatever they give you into either X or Y and calculate it into the.
So basically, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop share my equation of line 0.7948x plus 0.022. By the way, if I'm pointing out something stupid, I'm pointing out something stupid. When this is my equation of line, the 0.7948 is my slope. The 0.022 is my y-intercept. So if I use the equation of my line and I have a value that is off my chart, then all I have to do is use my equation of the line. Okay, my values went from about 50 was my highest value for my volume, and $40 was the highest value for my weight. So if I have something that's off the chart, say for example, what is the volume at 100 grams? Well, the 100 grams is the Y value. So all I got to do is plug in 100 equals 0.7948 x plus 0.022. 99.978 equals 0.7948 x. X is going to be equal to 125. So it's going to take 125 milliliters to get a mass of 100 grams. By the same token, what is the mass at 100 milliliters? Y is equal to 0.7948 times 100 plus 0.022. Y is equal to 79.7 grams. So if you have one value, it's not in the chart, all you got to do is plug it into the equation of the line. It will get you the value. Okay, guys, I'm not going to keep you any much longer than 8 o'clock, very close around 8 o'clock. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to stop share. And what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go to the report. Okay, I'm in content. I am in down here, graphing, where's graphing? Graphing. I'm going to go to the results section first. Preview. Start quiz. Okay, you got to figure out. You're going to be given a chart of mass numbers and volume numbers. You got to figure out what's the independent and what is the dependent variable. Remember, I gave you the answers to these. Number 3 was 10. Number 4 was 5. Now, you can Excel the graph, plug it in here.
Even though it says hand drawn, we can,
Yes,
okay.
even though it says hand drawn, you can plug it in there. I don't care. He's not going to see it unless any one of you squeal. If any one of you squeal, then you got to hand graph it.
My name's Paul. That's between y'all.
Okay. Just all I want you to do here, plug in the slope value and plug in the y-intercept value. Figure out which of these gives you the best the line of best fit for your graph. In other words, whatever equation comes up on the screen, pick the one that's closest to it. Slope of the line represents, got to figure that out. Y-intercept represents. Now, what is the y-intercept, ladies and gentlemen? Let me ask you this question. What's the value of x at the y-intercept?
0.
0. So
Is
how
it
many
Q2?
milliliters of water are in the graduated cylinder at the y-intercept? Remember, x-axis is milliliters. So at the y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So there are no milliliters in the graduated cylinder. What do you think the y-intercept is measuring at that point?
The weight of the graduated cylinder.
It's possible. You got a second graph. There's a second graph in the graphing thing. Don't worry about the hand drawn. Just upload the second graph. You got to, okay, something that isn't really told in the bulk of any of these graphing things. If a line is curved, the relationship is indirect. If the line is straight, it is a direct relationship. So look at the graph you draw for that and determine whether it's curved or straight. Figure out what the slope is. Figure out what the y-intercept is. Then figure out what the equation of that line is. Now you got to figure out some questions on the graph based on the questions that are asked. Any questions about this? I am hearing crickets.
Do we have to do the pre-lab? Is there a pre-lab?
Yes, there is a
or-
pre-lab. Yes, you have to do it.
Okay.
You don't have, wait, back up. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. But if you don't
But-
do it, you're gonna have points taken away.
Okay.
And for God's sakes, I'm gonna show you what it is in a second. I don't hide things. Exit preview, thank you. I just gotta find it. And it's not hard, it's not easy to locate. That's not what I want. Ah. Hold on a second, guys. I gotta get it back. Are you seeing the screen again?
Yes.
Pre-lab. Okay, this is what you gotta answer for the pre-lab. What's the dependent variable? What unit will appear on unit in terms of K or L? What unit will appear on the x-axis? Ah, crap. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. Answer to this should be 10. What you do to get this value, you take your high value, subtract your low value, and divide by the number of boxes. 100 minus 10 is 90, divided by 15 is 6. But you can never go below that value. You have to go above it. So the correct answer here should be 10. Question 3 on the pre-lab should be 10. You divide high by low and divide by 20, you end up getting 0.745. Plug in 1 for it. Basically, what he's trying to tell you is 0.745 is hard to graph. So you just round it up to 1. It would be easier to graph. All right. Question 4 is 1. If you get it wrong, let me know. Okay. Important question here. You never use the data points to find your slope. Never use data points, because if you use the data points, why did you bother doing the graph? You do the graph because the line of best fit averages out errors. Questions about the pre-lab? Post-lab? Why do they do what you tell them to do rather than what you want them to do? Okay. All right, you have 5 graphs. It's telling you to graph this, use Excel. And after you graph it, you have to answer the question, what is the absorbance when the concentration is 0.12 molar? Makes you do another graph. What's the concentration when the absorbance is 0.10? Makes you do another graph. Oh, is it the same values? Yeah. All right. You're using the same, the points are all the same, so you only have to make one graph. And you just answer the questions that are there. Any questions? I'm hearing crickets, guys. And believe me, after the day I've had, it's a 3 tequila night. So unless I hear something further, I'm going to set you on your own, okay? You do not have to do any Le Chatelier stuff. If you've done the pre-lab already, you don't have to do a pre-lab next week. This week you have to do, for next Tuesday, you need to turn in the pre-lab for graphing, the results, and the post-lab for graphing. And if you haven't turned in Le Chatelier, you have to turn that in next Tuesday night. No notebook this week. If you do a notebook, that's fine. It won't be graded, but if you do a notebook, you can use that for your final. Any questions before we take off, guys?
Real quick, for the pH buffer, do we have to do the pre-lab for that or?
No, I'll fix that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, was that date should have been changed to next week.
It was, I just wanted to make sure that you didn't want us to do like the pre-lab or
No.
anything.
No. Next week, we're doing Le Chatelier. I'm going to start I've already cleared it with the lab person, and she agrees with me. It's makes it much more easier for her. So we're now going to be behind the Monday lab. What this means for you is that if you're going to miss a lab, you have to do the lab before it's scheduled. In other words, if you're missing next week's Le Chatelier lab, you have to come in on Monday to try and make it up. You can't do it after Wednesday. That's a disadvantage of doing this, but letting you see the Le Chatelier the way it's supposed to works out much better. If we're good, guys, I need to have my second shot of tequila now. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a fun night.
You have a fun night too.
Thank you.
Bye.